warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from group 1 and then my name is Indra Maulana Arfan Aziz and here is my partner colleague. So you can introduce yourself first.
My name is Supatika. My name is Zilda Olesa Putri. My name is Satri Pujiastuti. My name is Sylvia Latifah.
So everyone, here is we would like to talk about theory of language learning. Let's talk about it. Alright everyone, let's talk the introduction first. What are the theories of language learning? Language learning theories are systematic frameworks that seeks to explain how human beings acquire, develop, and use language, both as a first language in childhood and is conditional language. This theory drew from disciplines such as linguistics, psychology, cognitive science, and education, offering diverse perspectives on the interplay between innate biological capacities, environmental input, social interaction, and cognitive development in the language acquisition process. So, in sharp contrast from Noam Chomsky, revolutionized the field by urging that language cannot be fully explained by environmental input alone. He introduced the concept of language acquisition device, biologically endowed faculty that enables children to deduct the grammatical rules of their native language from limited and often imperfect input. Chomsky's theories of universal grammar posit that all human language share a common underlying structure, which explains that remarkable speed and uniformity with which children across culture acquire language. Meanwhile, Jean Piaget approached language from a cognitive developmental perspective. He contended that linguistic development is subordinate to generate cognitive growth, and children must first construct mental representation of the word before they can express them linguistically. For Piaget, language is not an isolated module, but an extension of broader intellectual maturation. And the next is, why are learning theories so important? Learning theories are a complex process that does not always happen visibly. To better understand how people learn, educators and instructional designers rely on learning theories as conceptual frameworks. So, of course, in this material, we have three major learning theories have shaped modern education, that is behaviorism, cognitivism, and constructivism. So the next material will be delivered by my college.
Okay, guys, I would like to talk about one of the most influential learning theories in education, behaviorism, especially how it applies to the teaching of English as a second or foreign language. What is behaviorism? Do you know, guys? Behaviorism is a theory of learning that focuses on observable behavior. According to this theory, learning happens as a result of the connection between a stimulus and a response. In short, when a stimulus is given, the learner responds. This is called the stimulus response model, or SR. Key figure in behaviorism. There are three main figures in behaviorism. First, John B. Watson, who is known as the founder of behaviorism. Second, Edward Thorndike, who introduced the law of effect, which say that behavior followed by positive outcomes are more likely to be repeated. And third, B.F. Skinner, who developed the idea of operant conditioning, learning through rewards and punishment. Main principle of behaviorism is the stimulus response SR model. Learning is seen as a change in behavior that happens through association and reinforcement. Skinner emphasized the importance of reinforcement, which can be positive reinforcement such as praise or rewards to encourage behavior, or negative reinforcement where something unpleasant is removed to strengthen behavior. In behaviorism, mental processes like thinking or understanding are not the focus, only what we can observe. And the last one, application in English language teaching, or ELT. So, how is behaviorism applied in English language classroom? Do you know, guys? Here are some common techniques. First, drills. Repeating word or sentence to form correct habits. Second, the audiolingual method, emphasizing repetition and pattern practice. Third, total physical response, or TPR, where the teacher gives command and student respond with physical action. Fourth is immediate correction. The teacher correct mistake on the spot. Use of reward and punishment to reinforce good behavior and discourage error. In behaviorism, theories have strength and weakness. For strength, the first point is emphasize drill, repetition, and practice, which is useful for mastering basic patterns of language. Second is effective for beginners to acquire vocabulary and simple structures. Third, produce quick visible result in memorization and pronunciation. And for the weakness, the first point is overly focus on stimulus response without much attention to meaning. Second, learners may become passive, just repeating instead of creating language. Third, does not explain the internal cognitive process of learning.
Okay, my name is Siti Ranima, and I will explain the material about cognificid on slide 6. Cognitive learning theory is a development from behaviorism, but it focuses more on how the thinking process works. This theory explains that children learn based on their cognitive structure and mental maps to understand and respond to experiences in their environment. The important features in this theory are Chen Pich, Jerome Bernard, Noam Chomsky, and Nick Ellis. The main principles is that students are seen as active information process. It means they are active in remembering, paying attention, using strategies, and organizing information. In English language learning, this theory can be applied through language learning strategies, mind maps, concept mapping, task-based learning, attention, and metalinguistic feedback. Next, this slide shows the strengths and weaknesses of the cognitivist theory. For the strengths, first, it sees learners as active information processors. This supports their understanding of language structures. And second, it focuses on rules, patterns, and problem solving, not just limitation. And third, it also encourages students to think independently and understand more deeply. However, there are also some weaknesses. First, sometimes it can be too abstract and too focused on grammar, so learning may feel very theoretical. And second, it gives less attention to social interaction and the real, authentic use of language. And third, it needs healthier learning motivation and stronger cognitive ability. So, cognitivism has strong points for understanding and thinking, but also challenges when applied in real language learning.
And the last is constructivism. Constructivism emphasizes that knowledge is constructed by the individual, not just passively received. So, learning is not just listening or reading, but how students connect new experiences with the knowledge they already have. According to Brother and Phillips, this process involves direct experience and reflection on that experience. There are several main figures in this theory. Jean Piaget, who emphasized the construction of knowledge through the stage of cognitive development. Second is Lev Vygotsky. Lev Vygotsky, who introduced the concept of zone of proximal development, or ZPD, and the importance of scaffolding from teacher and peers. And the last is Jerome Brunner, who emphasized the importance of discovery learning. The main principle of this theory is that knowledge is built through active interaction with experience as well as social interaction with others. In the context of English language teaching, constructivism is widely applied through cooperative learning. Students learn together in group to build understanding. And project-based learning, students complete real projects to link theory with practice. And then scaffolding. Scaffolding is teachers provide temporary support until students are able to be independent. Discussion and authentic tasks. First, learning activities based on real situations so that students can build language knowledge contextually. So, in a sense, constructivism invites us to see language learning as an active, collaborative, and meaningful process, not just memorizing rules or vocabulary. Okay, next, for the strength from the constructivism. First, constructivism highlights real-life context, interaction, and collaboration. This means learners are not just memorizing, but using language in meaningful ways. The second is learning becomes more meaningful because students construct knowledge from their own experiences. And the third, it also encourages learner autonomy and critical thinking, as students are more active in shaping their own understanding. And the last is constructivism aligns well with communicative language teaching since both focus on authentic communication rather than just grammar drills. However, there are also some weaknesses. First, it requires a skilled teacher who can design interactive and engaging activities. Without this, the method may not work effectively. The second,
For absolute beginners, constructivism may be less effective because they often need more structure and basic input before moving to discovery-based learning. And the last, it usually takes more time to see the result since the focus is on constructing meaning instead of memorizing quickly. The next material will be presented by Sylvie Suponalia.
Okay, now let's compare the three learning theories in English language teaching. First, behavior. Students are seen as passive, only responding to the stimulus, and the focus is on stimulus and reinforcement. The teacher acts as a controller, and activities are usually drills or repetition. The strength is structure and clear, but the weakness ignoring mental process. The second is cognitive. Here, students are as active information processor. The focus is on memory, mental processor like memory and strategies. The teacher can design memory and strategies like a test or using mind map. And the strength is paying attention to thinking, but the weakness sometimes too abstract. And the last is constructivist. The student very active, meaning through social interaction and experience, and the teacher is like more uh, facilitator or scaffolder, and the strength is deep understanding and collaboration, but the weakness less efficiency with the structure. So, in short, behavior is about control and repetition, the cognitive focus in mental process, and the constructive highlight collaboration and meaning making. So, in conclusion, behaviorism helps beginners through vocabulary and repetition, but relies too much in repetition. And cognitivism treats learn as active thing, but can feel abstract. And constructivism makes learning meaningful through real life and collaboration, but needs more time and skill teacher. No theory is perfect, so the best way is to combine their strengths.
So everyone, that's the material talk about theories of language learning. See you in the next video. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.